Do you identify as a cheater? I mean, it was the one time?
If you count massage parlors, it was probably a handful of times.
With happy endings?
Yeah.
Patrick, I think that counts.
Yeah.
As an enthusiast myself.
And I like that I just said a handful of times because it's a handful.
But first, a word from our sponsors.
It's the vibrator that has no equal. And now, Motor Bunny offers their thrusting sex machine, the Motor Bunny Buck. Enjoy a fan whore discount at manwhorepod.com/motorbunny or use promo code manwhore at checkout. Now let's get to the show.
Welcome to the Man Whore Podcast.
What's up, sissies? What's up, sluts? What's up, celebrators of the Feast of Bacchanal? This is Billy Presida, and you are listening to the Man Whore Podcast. Sometimes I run out of breath at the end. I gotta stop smoking. Hey, everybody, how you doing? Welcome to the show. This week on the pod, I've got on fellow comedian Patrick Holbert. You'll hear him in just a little bit. I don't know how many of y'all know this. I'm a backgammon enthusiast, dare I say, fetishist, addict. Stop it. So yeah, I play a lot of backgammon. Big fan. Other notable celebrities who are really into backgammon. Bill Cosby, I found out. So that's awkward. But I play a little backgammon on backgammongalaxy.com. BG Galaxy. And I'm playing a match. My username on there is Man Whore Podcast. And I guess I was taking, a little extra time on one of my moves. And the other player in the chat box goes like, spending too much time searching for blowjobs on Reddit. I was like, what? No, I did that before we started playing. What the fuck? Come on, man. Way to call me out. But hey, if you play backgammon, you want to play on BG Galaxy, hit me up sometime. My username on there is Man Whore Podcast because I have no shame. I will self-promote anywhere. I don't think I got too much to update y'all on in my personal life. Hoping to have some Wallet No Lady updates for you in the near future, but TBD. The kid's staying hopeful. Before I get to my guest, Patrick Holbert, let's kind of try to get straight to this thing. I want to do a quick fan whore appreciation moment, fam moment. Welcome to the fam, Judith Koenig. Thank you very much for your support. I don't know if you're the Judith Koenig from Argentina or the Judith Koenig from Germany, the Judith Koenig from Wisconsin. Not sure which one you are, but whoever you are, thank you for supporting the Man Whore Podcast on Patreon. Big thanks. And you too can support the Man Whore Podcast and receive a slew of great rewards. I offer a whole ton of Bennies bonus content. I've got like 200 plus bonus shows. I post some behind the scenes writing and media of that sort. We got the Peep Show. We got the thank you letters. And you, of course, get a shout out from yours truly on the pod. Become a member today. Support the whore you love at patreon.com/manwhorepodcast. That's Patreon, patreon.com/manwhorepodcast. Patrick Holbert, so I did his podcast years back. It's called Who Cares? About Ross and Patrick. Ross is his wife. Also, totally forgot that he's poly. And, I swear I am not purposefully booking all this poly media representation week after week after week. Okay, I know I'm supposed to kind of spread it out a bit, but we've been on like a fucking poly streak. Except for like M.A. Lutkin. I think we might be like 5 weeks in a row of poly. So, like, I'm sorry or you're welcome. Patrick Holbert, he was great. He was so much fun. I think you're going to enjoy this conversation. We're getting real with each other on this one. All right, going to do a quick ad read, and then let's get to it. This week, I give you all the gift of a short ad read. Folks, you all know that the Motor Bunny is like the most intense, powerful, badass vibrator you could own. They're longtime friends of the show. We've done a lot of work with them, a lot of content, Man Whore Con parties. You've gotten a feel for the thing, if you know what I mean. And you can get a feel for it too and get $50 off when you use promo code MANWHORE at checkout Or, you know what's even easier? Just head on over to manwhorepod.com/motorbunny. Save yourself some steps. Automatically applies the coupon. So one more time, check out the Motor Bunny today. Add a fucking tank to your sex toy arsenal. Head on over to manwhorepod.com/motorbunny and enjoy a special discount. Now let's get to the show. Someone in my Discord server posted a stand-up clip this morning. Be like, Billy, I saw this clip and I thought of you, and it's you at QED.
Yes.
Talking about your wife told you to go to the sex dungeon.
Yes.
And then I was like, oh yeah, I'm talking to him today, and I remembered, oh wait, is he a cuck or a cross-dresser? I forgot which one.
I guess a little of both. I guess a little of both. I am shy about the word cuck because I'm not that interested in watching her get plowed in front of me.
Sure.
Unless, I mean, I suppose I'd enjoy her getting plowed by a person with a penis who's a woman.
Okay.
I guess I might be into that. Or getting is it pegging if it's vaginal?
I think
strap on action might be fun to watch.
You have to have a strap on to to peg. Yeah,
it'd be fun to watch her get pegged with a strap on by a woman. But yeah, I assume cuck means watching another man bang your wife.
Something like that.
Yeah, I don't think I'm into that.
That's not, okay, so it was there. Because John, do you know John Field?
Yes.
So John Field dabbles in some cross-dressing.
Interesting.
I was like, do they have the same one, or am I mixing up sea fetishes? Like
right.
That was
tall white guys, two tall white comics with a cross-dressing, or
like right after I book you, I go like, oh wait, what was his thing?
Yeah.
I was like,
yeah. So cross-dressing is one of them. The clip, I don't know if you watched it, but yeah, I posted. So yeah, like a month before pandemic hit, I had this hour I was like really proud of about me and Ross's marriage and our sex life, polyamory. So I put up this 10-minute story from the hour about going to a sex dungeon for my first time, her supporting me, and her also deciding she wasn't that interested in what I was interested in for that adventure. And I put it first in the stand-up comedy subreddit, and it got some love on there. And then just yesterday morning, I was like, let me throw it up in the polyamory subreddit. And they were so fucking cool. It got such a cool response. It's cool that it got shared to a Discord. I barely know what Discord is, but
it's like a group chat thing. I have one called the Champagne Room for people who listen to the show.
You know, Ross and we started seeing other people 5 years ago now, and I was just always so protective about how I was going to share with people. I still have this fear of like, what does my family think of us? So I protect what information is where in the world, I guess. And so I loved doing...
I gave up on that a long time ago.
Yeah, I assume. Yeah, so like I love doing it live in front of strangers in rooms where like nobody's recording, like nobody cares about me as a comic. So like I could just feel free, you know? And finally, like, after doing some podcasts about it, and then our own podcast, we finally fully came out and just kind of started telling family like, you can listen if you want, but you may not want to hear the ins and outs of our relationship.
Well, welcome to the pod, not a cuck comedian Patrick Holbert.
Thanks, man.
Hello. Haven't seen you since I did your podcast, Who Cares?
Yeah.
Not Who Cares that I did your podcast. The podcast is called Who Cares?
Yeah, Who Cares about Ross and Patrick, which may change. I'll ask your opinion. We might change the title to We Hired a Sitter for This. I think it has a ring to it. It is a mouthful. Some people like it. Some people hate it.
You're a couple of kinky poly parents just trying to cut loose and keep the kid alive?
Yeah,
how old is it now?
She is 22 months tomorrow, or in 2 days she'll be 22 months old. So almost 2 years. Sorry to speak in months, but it's crazy how much the weeks and months actually count. Like she becomes a different person like pretty often. It's wild. Yeah, she says some words, not like a ton, but
getting her to avoid "yes, daddy" as the first words.
Yeah. I'm dada, but she just started getting into saying mom. It's mama and dada.
Sure.
She just started getting into saying mommy and daddy. And mommy is a word that turns me on. So that's complicated.
She says mommy, you'd be like, that's my word.
Right.
That's ours.
Yeah. Yeah. And who knows how this is all going to shake out. Like I think we're very much trying to keep things in the day and in the moment. Cause we're going to have to someday, I assume, confront that. Like, how much do we share with our child about our life, and who meets our child? And, I've dated some women with children during all of this. And, one of them offered, she said, if you ever want to meet my kid, like, we could do that. And I just remember thinking, like, no, like I like what we do in private and secret, like, I don't know if I want to, I kind of forget how this kind of all panned out. Well, I'll start by saying one of the first people she texted the morning our daughter was born to say that everything was all right was her boyfriend, which was kind of cool. Like, I remember actually looking at her phone and seeing that he texted, and I said, oh, hey, so-and-so just texted. Do you want me to text him back? And then she's like, no, just pass me my phone. And she texted him. And I just remember feeling like so much love in the space with, our new daughter, and Ross just like crushed this birth. And we had a doula there who
crushed it.
She crushed it.
Crushed it, bro.
It was just like such a heightened moment that, like, I actually felt these really warm feelings toward him, that he was checking in and she was letting him know. And so that was really...
How long had she been with him at the time?
A couple years. They'd been seeing each other for, maybe a year and a half or something. But earlier in the pregnancy, there was some moments where I forget how it went down, but it's very common for women to have like paranoid type feelings about their health and the health of the child, and worry about different things. And she had gotten it in her head that perhaps he got her pregnant. And so that became this whole, like, I don't think this is possible. We always use protection, but for some reason I'm like nervous.
How did you feel about that?
It took a lot of, we were still going to couples therapy at that point. So luckily we could like go in and talk about the worst case scenario,
What were you all going to couples therapy for?
When we opened our marriage up, Ross got us an appointment like immediately.
So just like as a standard thing, like we should have the, okay.
Yeah.
So just as a backup thing. It wasn't like a thing happened.
No, well,
Okay.
the thing that happened was I cheated on Ross.
Oh, right. I forgot that was that the instigator for y'all opening
exactly.
up?
Yes, it was. And we went to the alternative sex therapist, couples therapist. They are amazing. When we actually sort of phased out the therapy for a while, and then when we started negotiating, okay, like are we going to start a family? Let's go have some appointments with them to do get some therapy around this. And then when she started having fear about like, oh my God, this could be his child, we talked that all out in therapy. I kind of came to terms with it. I like, first of all, I was like, I kind of know it's mine. Like, it only took like 3 tries, and I remember the specific.
When the kid kicks,
dates.
It goes, but chum. It sounds like a comics
yeah.
kid.
Well, the other good news is that it would be very obvious if it were his child when she came out. He is a person of color, and it would be very clear.
Sure.
The extreme honesty involved with having a polyamorous marriage definitely helped us in the pregnancy phase and all of that stuff. Basically, we had talked about trying to hook up with other people for years before we even got married, which led me to think we had an agreement, that we had an understanding, which I misunderstood. We actually didn't have one. I went and saw Dom in private. I knew it was wrong, but I also knew I was going to tell her. I sat on that info for like, I think it was a month or maybe 2 months. And then I did tell her the truth. thinking.
What do you mean you
like-
you knew it was wrong, but you were going to tell her, but you misunderstood?
Like basically, I thought the way I tell it on stage, which is very close to the truth, is that anytime it came up in conversation, like, oh, that lady's hot, I'd like to hook up with her, she would say stuff like, do what you got to do. Don't ask, don't tell.
She would say
Whatever.
that?
She would say that.
That doesn't sound like a misunderstanding.
Clearly as a joke. It was a joke, though. Like, we're just like riffing. We're always joking. And then, we got married, and we were in one of those. We got married 6 years after being together, and we were in one of those lulls where we just weren't hooking up, and I resented that, and I had been like really getting into curious about like femdom and like CFNM and like being like leaning into my subby interests, and I found a dom on Craigslist and had this experience and like rationalized it like, hey, she said don't ask, don't tell. And we actually thought about going to a dom together a couple years before that.
And Ross isn't very into performing the dom role.
She is. We've kind of found a groove with what works for us. She's not interested in the like all of it, like but
elements of it.
Yeah.
But it wasn't the same as like the dominatrix experience.
Yeah, like
how was it? I mean, was it worth the strife it caused?
Yes. I mean, it really truly was like life changing and like
first time you'd done something like that.
Yeah, and it was like I dabbled with massage parlor stuff and like that kind of stuff, and I always knew I had this like sexual desire for secretive, heightened, exciting experiences. And then I went, and it was just like this really cool experience with this really cool person who like it was just like really cool in all these different ways. And so when I told
behind Ross's
it was
back
in secret, and when I did tell her, I like had convinced myself this is going to be really good news for the marriage. Which
this is such a man thing to think.
Dude, I mean, I'm trying to write bits about this. Like, it's hard because it's people want to come to a show and not think about their worst fears, and like a lot of people's worst fear in their marriage is to be cheated on or to be lied to or deceived. And I'm now on the other end of it, so I feel like I can safely make jokes about it. But a lot of people think I'm a fucking douchebag, But yeah, I picked the worst time and place to tell my wife, and the worst way, because the worst way was I thought it was good news. The worst place was we were in a car with 2 more hours to go until we got home. And the worst time was we had just had this amazing experience on a yoga retreat upstate New York. We're like so connected, so much love, which is why I thought it was the right time to do it.
Timing, people. If you're gonna do anything in a car ride, let's time it. Let's waze the directions. Like, how? Imagine if you could put in there like, okay, it's
add
2 hours
stop.
home. Yeah, add stop. Potentially relationship ending conversation.
Explode the relationship,
and it will recommend 45 minutes. Turn left and possibly derail this whole thing.
Yeah.
Oh my god.
I'm such a fucking moron.
How did y'all survive that?
So when we did get home, she was like, I can't be around you, because she was so hurt. Like, and when she was finally able to name like what the hurt was, it was just that I didn't even ask, because she kept saying like, I probably would have just said yes, but you didn't even give me that option, or you didn't even or maybe I would have wanted to be a part of it, and you just didn't give me any of those options, and it's the secrecy and yada yada, well, not yada yada yada, etc.
No yada yadas. We're more of an etc. kind of family.
But the point is that she was really hurt. We live in a 1-bedroom, so there's only so much. Luckily, I had some gigs in DC. I think I went away for a night or two, and we were texting. She didn't really want to talk, and then, she's like the most amazing person, because I would say within 3 days, she had us an appointment with the therapist we ended up working with for like 2.5 years or however long that was. Yeah, she like went into solution mode. She's like, we're gonna go see a therapist together. We're gonna talk about this. And then when we did start talking openly on our podcast, that's when she started admitting like she was reading like Esther Perel and secretly behind my back and trying to figure out how to broach to me the idea of opening up. Which is not to say like I'm the hero of the story.
She read a book. You went to a dom.
Yeah, I cheated. Yeah. But that is why I thought it was good news. Like I actually thought, hey, I'm taking initiative here. I'm pushing the ball down the hill. I'm getting the things moving, you know?
You say the sentence "I cheated" like real easily. Like is it easy for you to say that?
I guess I just feel like I own it now, and I'm lucky enough to be with a person who forgave me. So I'm not proud of it. I hope it doesn't sound like I'm just
I don't think
proud
you're proud
of it.
No, there is an acceptance I hear in it, but it's a thing that a lot of people, there's a lot of shame to do it, and I don't think it's unjustified to feel shame about it, but you know, it's not easy for anyone, especially in this country, to say they were wrong.
I mean, I guess it just feels like it's just so like we did so much work around it. I'm in therapy still. I've been seeing the same therapist for 6 years now, which is hilarious because as I was like doing some secret stuff, I wasn't even talking about it with that person. I was just like living a total lie for a while there. I think the ease just comes from that's a good question. I think it's just therapeutic work.
I'm not even curious where the ease comes from. I guess I'm curious how you feel saying it. Sounds like,
or about being acceptance. A cheater in general.
Do you identify as a cheater? I mean, it was the one time?
No, it was. If you count massage parlors, it was probably a handful of times
with happy endings.
Yeah.
Patrick, I think that counts.
Yeah.
As an enthusiast myself,
and I like that I just said a handful of times because it's a handful. So that's that. I mean, I think we recounted this on our podcast, but
I withdraw my question of, do you identify as a cheater?
Between our first and second appointment with the couples therapist, I emailed the couples therapist directly without Ross attached to say, hey, so just so you know, like I'm in recovery for drugs and alcohol, and there's this thing about making amends where you don't make the amends if it's going to do more harm to the person. So sometimes they don't need to know all the information, but I thought you should know that I didn't go see the dom just once. I actually went twice.
Oh.
And I also had some other behaviors like massage parlors like a few times a couple years ago. So I don't know, like I was talking to my therapist about it, and she thinks I should tell Ross everything, but I kind of feel like we're off to a good start, so maybe not. And the couples therapist wrote me back. She was like, I can't continue to work with you both if you're going to tell me secret information that you would like me to keep from her. We actually saw that couples therapist at a sex party, like maybe a year after working with her. I can't remember.
Where do you go?
Well, this was
chemistry.
No, I never did. I had a girlfriend who really wanted to go to chemistry. I'm not that into sex parties with another person. Like I'm so much more interested in secretive, like dirty stuff that nobody like. I want to feel like nobody knows I'm here doing this thing. Yeah, like
there used to be a $5 fetish party underneath the Delancey in the before times. That sounded dirty to me.
That's hilarious.
I'm just like, anyone can panhandle $5.
$5, wow.
$5. Ugh. But back to the recovery of things. So you started seeing the couples therapist. You opened up the marriage. Yeah. How did y'all draw lines? How did y'all like set up a framework for the open marriage in light of?
I mean, that was hilarious too, because at first it was like, yeah, sure, Ross, you can like hook up with all the women you want. Like, go for it. That's cool. I'm cool with that. And then it was like, she's just meeting tons of men on the apps. Like at first she just, and then she had a work trip to Paris and she said, I'd like to like see what's going on the apps over there. And I was like, yeah, again, like hook up with some ladies, have fun,
Some ladies.
And
you weren't so excited about the idea of a man.
Exactly. It's classic. And
was it a rule or just like
it was I think originally
or did she
it was
have
a
an
limit.
understanding like you did?
I think it was a limit at first. Yeah, and she disagrees with how exactly this went down, but this is how I remember it. I think we hashed this out on our podcast too. You could have her come on and rebut this. But she came home from the trip and in the car ride home, she said to me, I have something to tell you. And I knew right away. I was like, you banged a guy.
Yeah.
And she was like, yeah. And I was like,
never not that.
yeah. And I was like, that's cool. Was it nice? And she was like, yeah, it was really nice. And I was like, good for you. And I was legitimate. I felt legitimate compersion for her. And I think the fear and the limit I had set previously was just based in like pure male ego. And that's a lot of what this sex therapist helped me with, was learning how we are socialized as men to treat our partner as like property, and God forbid another man were to penetrate them, and etc. And so anyway, that happened. She's dating more often in New York. And one limit I had was like, just don't suck dicks. Like there's something about another dick in your mouth. And then that one,
that's right.
Eventually that limit was broken. And we just learned Earl, like pretty quickly that like, if you're going to go hook up with a stranger from an app, or not necessarily a stranger, you're going to hook up, you can't, it's so hard to just like control where the fun is going to stop, like the sex is messy. There's mouths, there's holes, things are just going to happen. And like, it's kind of crazy to try to control that for another person. So honestly, I just kind of had a sense of humor about it, and I was just like, yeah, who cares? Like,
were you being active at the time?
Yeah, it took me a little while longer. Like, it was October 18 or no 17. Yeah, it was fall of 17 when she got on the apps and was just like meeting guys, going on dates. Not a lot of sex right away for her. She was kind of being discerning, I guess is the word. I kind of can't remember, but she had like a handful of experiences and maybe some sex. That's when one time we were at dinner and she was talking about this guy. And I think she was saying like this guy didn't want to have sex because we both have herpes, and that's always a conversation we have to have with potential partners. And this guy didn't want to have sex, but she let her blow him, and somehow that came out in our conversation. I'm like, wait, you blew this guy? I thought we had an agreement. And she's like, and I think she misremembered the agreement we had about dicks in the mouth, whatever. And
I thought you just said dicks around the mouth, but in is good. I'm sorry.
Yeah, so it was like that uncomfortable thing of like, we can have some rules, but they're not. Like, rules have to be flexible, I guess.
They're not rules that end the relationship.
Yeah. And I got over all that stuff pretty quickly. Oh, and what helped me get over it pretty quickly was, I guess, that winter. Like, I got on the apps at the same time she did. I just was not having any luck. It's like, it's hard to meet people, For guys, I think it's harder. And then finally I met this girl I really clicked with, and we had like all these awesome adventures. And then she actually ended up joining Ross and I, and we had some cool stuff go on, the three of us. And basically when I felt like my stuff was more equal to hers, that's when I really kind of dropped all the hang-ups I had with whatever Ross was getting into. And also our sex life got so exciting between her and I that it was like, oh, this is all so worth it. It's like worth giving her a little more leeway, and she gives me the leeway in return. And it's like, I guess when it felt very mutual is when I like kind of let go a lot more. And that's not to say that's permanent, because I definitely, just recently had to navigate some jealousy that was like oh yeah, I'm jealous sometimes, and I haven't had to be because of lockdown and the new baby and all this stuff. So, I think it'll always be. It takes so much practice, I think.
Yeah.
Why, like when I say, yeah, I cheated, why does that feel easy to say? I think part of it is like Ross and I, a big realization we had was just like, we are probably just non-monogamous people. Like we probably never were going to be, I was probably never going to be able to not cheat on someone in a marriage. So I think I'm able to admit to being a cheater with such ease. Just, it's almost like saying, yeah, because of course I am. Like, of course, I think my DNA just wants me to kind of have a wandering eye or whatever. Unfortunately, I just didn't do it with consent when I could have with this amazing woman who would have let me from the beginning. But then it just gets into the shame and the socialization and the upbringing and the all that fun stuff.
How did the sex life get better?
We were just like, I think both just really like turned on in like a more everyday kind of way. Ross started experimenting with like different language she would use with me and like doming me sort of verbally, and like that was really fun.
What kind of language?
To kind of be told what to do. I like to be called a good boy.
I think we've been over this. Have we been over this?
Probably.
'Cause I'm also a good boy.
Yeah.
I'm not like a little bitch, and I'm not just that. I'm a good boy. I'm not a pain slut, and I don't need to be human. I want to know what to do. I want to do a good job.
I want to do a good job.
I'll take a punishment if a punishment is warranted, but I'm going to ideally try to just do a good enough job. I don't have to be punished.
Yeah, and also so many punishments.
Team good boys.
Yes. So many punishments feel like rewards, you know? Which actually the woman I saw those 3 times, that's something she taught me, was like, okay, I can see that you want me to spank you over my lap, but just know, like, this may be a punishment, but you have to be a good boy to get it. You know.
One time, someone called me a puppy, and that happened to work.
Interesting.
Like, oh, puppy, but generally, good boy does it.
Yeah. I know a guy who is really into puppy play, and he's got an Instagram for it and everything. I don't know if he like would want it out there, but I'm so curious about that. Like, because it's leather looks with like dog,
the full canine mask.
Yeah, like like dog like stuff. And I'm like, that's so interesting. But yeah, I do a joke that like I was with one woman who let me call her mommy, and it is so fucking hot to me. I don't know why. I absolutely do not want to bang my mom. You know, it's got nothing to do with that. But so her calling me good boy and me saying mommy, like just that verbal exchange is so hot to me. Ross, I actually almost asked her the other night for the first time again in 2 years or whatever if I could call her that. I asked her once, she rejected it. But now that she is a mom, I'm curious. Maybe she'll be more open-minded about it.
Okay.
I don't know. But yeah, good boy. I'm a people pleaser in real life.
Sure.
Like if I get a new job, I want to do a good job. I like the feeling of being helpful.
Yeah. I like there's almost like this element of control for me. I'm like, with this logic that doesn't actually work in the real world, but on paper, it's like, well, if I do a good job and I do what I'm asked to do, then I should get rewards, or at minimum not be in trouble. And if I'm not in trouble, people will like me.
Yes.
And so it's like this weird way of like controlling a perception of me by, I'm going to do what's asked of me. Please, no one hate me.
Yes, it's totally that. It's like, yeah, how do I not rock the boat? How do I win you over? How do I get brownie points for
like
the
if
future?
you tell me 5 things to do and I do them all, there's no reason you should still be upset with me.
Yeah.
Is my view.
Yeah. Unfortunately, Ross she's built to, when she feels like people are being too needy toward her, men or our own child, it's a turnoff for her. Like she hates like clinginess or like neediness.
Can't wait to see how this kid grows up. Oh, this fucking kid! It's such a turn off. No. Turning me off when she was asking for breakfast.
She's incredibly maternal and incredibly loving and caring. It's there's this clinginess thing that happens with them. Like it's a next level clinginess that triggers something in Ross. I shouldn't even be talking about this. She could explain it better. But for the record, she's an amazing mother and is incredibly loving.
She's a great mom, and sometimes when she allows it, she's a great mommy.
You're right.
Are you? Do you have other partners right now?
No. I had a hookup maybe 6 weeks ago now with a person I really enjoyed spending time with, and I'm doing the shitty thing where I'm not able to like make time. Because I actually don't know how much of this I want to be a part of my life right now. Like, it's fucking exhausting being a parent. I'm trying to get my career started up again. And
stand-up career?
Yeah. And polyamory is work. It's a lot of work, and it takes time. And so yeah, I guess I don't have a partner. Ross still has that same boyfriend. They've had only a couple dates through pandemic. But yeah, like I think the ideal thing for me would be somebody interested in like a play date here and there.
By partner, I meant even like sexual recurring characters in your life.
Yeah. I mean, potentially this person, that was our first kind of hang. So things happen. I'm on Field. I check it out every couple days. But I always go to that place of like, what's this going to turn into? Because I've had a couple situationships that have been like, the perfect thing where it's like, yeah, let's get together, have a few hours of fucking awesome fun, and then like I have to go back to my marriage, and like that's they understand that. But then there's been a couple where they're like, well, if your wife has a boyfriend that she loves, don't you want that? And they
want to still find a way to be a girlfriend, even if it's not.
Yeah. What the hell was your question? Just that a pattern is that, yeah, like. Oftentimes I get anxiety. Like, is this?
Are they going to expect more of me than I can offer?
So like exactly a year ago, I had this really challenging breakup where we met in a park. We hadn't seen each other for like a year because of COVID. And it was sort of like, I think we were feeling each other out. It was like, okay, now I have this child. She knows, we all kind of know each other a little bit from old friends or whatever. We had like we had like a really good connection, but somewhat of a hot and cold relationship, and it took a lot of navigating. And we met in this park, and it was sort of like, are we going to reignite during this, or we're just going to check in? It felt loose, and it ended up turning into like a heated conversation where I was basically like, look, like, I'm really interested in seeing you because I think we have great chemistry, but I don't know if I can be what I'm thinking you may want. And I was like, because something that kept coming up was like, how do I get more time with you, etc. And I was like,
which is of course what she's thinking about, because she just spent a fucking year away from you.
Right. And I was like, I think it'd be cool if we saw each other like once a month and like got a room and had a great time, you know? And the thing she came back to me with was like, so why don't you fucking just get a sex worker then? And then she kind of like stormed off. And now I'm like, if I could afford it, that probably is what would suit my life most. Because I do feel shitty that that's a place that she felt she was in, or that I was like, I don't like the feeling of being like negligent or withholding or emotionally anorexic or whatever the hell I'm being, but I also do think I'm pretty good at spelling out my limits and boundaries. So yeah, I guess I will go on the app sometimes and like fantasize, and then the reality comes in and I'm like, this all feels like maybe too much.
Something I'm trying to explain to my girl where she's new to non-monogamy. It's like trying to explain how when I seek or don't seek sex has nothing to do with what's going on over here with us.
Yeah.
And how like something I think is great because like, you're describing like you're not even really on apps much and I don't know when I'm going to, and it doesn't sound like you're saying, and therefore we are not going to be polyamorous. The idea that like I like that I can choose when I'm seeking sex and not seeking sex. And I would want her to like go have sex with people or not have sex with people, not based on what's going on with us, solely based on like what she feels like doing or not doing, what she thinks is healthy for her.
Yeah.
And I think that, and so like, when you were talking about it was easier for you once you started getting active.
Yeah.
But now I don't sense like you need to have the same amount of fucks as Ross is having.
No.
But initially it helps once you get to indulge as well.
Yeah. Yeah. And also I think I'm set at ease based on, I mean, man, having the baby and the pandemic really turned us into the most domestic version of our family yet, so we've really turned toward each other again in a way that's like bigger than sex, I guess. Sure. And I do think she will have another wave of like hot girl summer or whatever they're calling it, the kids.
You might have a horny guy winter, right? Like, who knows?
Yeah. But in this moment, I'm like, yeah, go see your boyfriend. Like, go have a nice time.
You have the freedom to go seek out more when you, on your independent of anything, want to go do that.
Yeah.
And right now, you're not because you don't want to.
Right. And I think like, I was on the road upstate for another job I have, and I was just like going up there alone quite a lot, and just the freedom of knowing like I'm allowed to take comfort with another person, like just feels like such a gift. So why would I not feel okay about that for her?
It's not the sex, it's the free. That's why I keep trying to say it's not for me. It's non-monogamy, at least for me, is not about the sex. It's about the freedom.
Yeah.
To do it or not, and the freedom just basically to choose what I want to do with my body.
Yeah.
As I see.
I think that's great. That's a great way to. I never thought of it like that. But yeah, like Ross is never going to be owned by anyone unless it's a part of whatever role she's playing.
How has the baby impacted your sex life?
Yeah, I think so. We're not having a ton of sex. We just last week had like super hot sex for the first time in a while. That was great, and it felt like I think we both needed to feel like, oh yeah, we're like really hot together. We like are hot for each other, and that was great. There were a lot of quickies like through the winter time and stuff where it was like, yeah, let's just do this. But finally, I think last week we needed that. We're definitely
you're tired or you're not.
Yeah. I think it's exhaustion. I think there's a fair amount of you just like in marriage in general, you play so many different roles, for each other. Your roommates, your ostensibly lovers, your partner, friends, your best friends. There's so many different roles that take energy away from the other roles. So like sometimes sexy lover guy is like she can't, or we don't see that in each other. Perhaps I don't know. And yeah, just exhaustion. It's there's just so many surprises, and the baby was sick for a few months or a few weeks this last like month or two, where it was just like it just blows up your life when like sleep goes away, you're worried about the kid. Seventh, like what time is it now? It's 8:30 at night right now. Usually I'm in my bed. If I don't have a gig, I'm in bed with my Kindle reading military action novels that were written for my postmenopausal aunts. And I'm drifting off to sleep by 9:00 at night. What happened was this winter, or in December, I was like, I'm going to be a real nerd and I'm going to finally read Infinite Jest.
No one reads Infinite Jest.
I know.
They just hold it on the subway like a prop.
Exactly. I start reading it. I'm like, I get that this is interesting. I get that he's doing really cool stuff with storytelling and like the layers, and I guess there's some social commentary here, but I also don't fucking get it. And I was just like, I gotta read trash, and I started reading some trash, and I can't stop reading this trash because I gotta kind of like check out from the stress sometimes. So
your body, your choice.
Yeah. So yeah, I think the sex with her and I will hopefully cook back up. I mean,
what about pregnancy? What's the sex like during pregnancy? I've always wanted to have sex with a pregnant woman.
I think she had some phases of like extra horniness because of it, because of the hormones. We definitely had sex a couple times while she was like very pregnant. But I don't think there was a ton. I mean, it was.
Did you feel weird at all about having sex when you know there's like a thing growing in there?
No, I don't know if it like turned me on extra. Maybe it did. Maybe, I mean, there's something kind of like, yeah, I think there's something kind of cool about like, we're fucking human beings. We're these weird meat sacks, and we're like doing this thing that connects us, and there's like this thing we made together right here. And, I like various kinds of bodies in general. So like, I like the feeling of like a really big ass or really big boobs or really small boobs, or like a rib cage or a tiny waist or a big waist or a big belly. Like, I like touching all sorts of things. So maybe it was a turn on. I'm not like, and I think hooking up with another pregnant person would be exciting and a turn on just from the idea of like, wow, she's letting me do this to her while she's pregnant. Like that's kind of hot, like
some women wear pregnancy just so elegant. Like my girl, I can just tell, like I fantasize about her pregnant because I'm like, she's gonna be one of those beautiful pregnant women. Gotta stick around and find out.
Yeah. Do you think you'll take the plunge at some point?
We gotta get things stable. We're still working on the non-monogamy part.
Right.
I feel like it's surmountable, or I would not be here.
Yeah.
Because I know better than to like, oh, let's date someone who's monogamous. I was like, she gave enough hints on the first day. I was like, I think there's something inside here. I just got to be patient.
Yeah.
So, we'll see. But I'm not opposed. Financially, I'd be more concerned. So I just buy a lot of lotto tickets and hope for the best.
Right. Well, I did hear a man, there's a Jewish proverb that says, every baby brings a loaf, which is like a Jewish proverb meaning like, you'll be fed, you'll be taken care of, like
come from a place of abundance.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, I would like to. I mean, it's cool if like that place of abundance could come. But I'd like the loaf to come first.
Yeah, that would be cool. Nice. Yeah.
Hey man, do you have an extra? I don't know your time crunch. If you
got
an extra 10, 15, maybe.
Yeah.
I was thinking do a little bonus episode, talk a little bit more about the submissive man stuff.
Yeah.
A little bit about the cross dressing. For now, where could people go to find you and find your show, which I've been on myself?
Yeah, so it's currently called Who Cares About Ross and Patrick. It is on iTunes and Spotify. We are considering changing the name to We Hired a Sitter for this, and that may happen sooner or later. I'm not sure.
So click the link in the show notes ASAP and hit subscribe.
Yes, please. Thank you. And that Instagram for that show is who.cares.podcast on Instagram. My Instagram is The Holbert Report.
I hate you. I hate you so much.
I have to change it. It's like such an old dumb joke at this point.
My Twitter handle was originally Funny Billy Pro until 2012 when Mike Cannon called me a derogatory term we're not really saying on podcasts anymore. And then I was like, okay, I'll change it.
But also the Colbert Show is now like 10 years over.
That's the reason to change it.
Yeah,
because
yeah.
you're going to have Gen Zers who don't know the reference.
Yeah, I did join TikTok.
What's the Holbert report?
Right, exactly. TikTok is punchline drunk.
Well, also go follow him at the Holbert report ASAP before he changes it. Like we all hope he does. Pat.
Well, what should I change it? I need
What's wrong
help.
with Patrick Holbert?
Just put at Patrick
I don't
Holbert.
know. You have the gift of a name you can say and someone knows how to spell. The reason I even did Funny Billy Pro was because I was so nervous people would hear Procida and not know how the fuck to spell it.
Yeah.
So I was like, well, at least that's something they can spell and find.
Right.
And I didn't know it was mockable. So now, you have a great name that you can just say and people they got to be stupid to not find you.
I just want to avoid the trap of at Patrick Holbert comedy.
Patrick, thank you so much for chatting with us. Patreon people, you're going to hear some more tomorrow. But for now, why don't you go ahead and say goodbye to everybody?
Thanks for listening, everybody. Take care.
If you enjoyed Patrick Holbert, he's got a bonus episode coming out exclusively on Patreon tomorrow. We talk more about being a submissive man. We talk about subbiness, cross-dressing, a little bit of a CFNM for those of y'all who recognize those letters. And we're doing that on the bonus ep tomorrow. You can gain access to that at the $5 or higher up tiers. And you can become a member, gain access right now at patreon.com/manhorrorpodcast. Team Good Boys, let's go. We'd love to know what you thought about this week's episode. Leave your feedback in the episode discussion channel in the Champagne Room. We didn't do an episode icebreaker today. I don't think you need my help to get the conversation rolling on this bad boy. But come introduce yourself and join the conversation at manhorpod.com/Discord. I got a link in the show notes. You can always send me an email with your comments, your advice questions, your criticisms. You can send any and all of that over to manhorpod@gmail.com. Good or bad of an email, I will read each and every one of them and then cry. You can find me on Twitter and Instagram. I don't have a too silly of a username. My Twitter handle is at @TheBillyProcida. My Instagram is BillyIsProcida. And if by now you don't know how to spell Procida, baby cakes, take a look at the deets on this episode. Don't make me spell it out for you on my own show. I want to say thank you to Holly for the shout out on Instagram. Much thanks. It was very sweet. You put a lot of different things together on the slide. Deserved a little special recognition. So thanks for sharing the podcast with your friends and fam. Glad I can get you through those work days. I haven't been too active posting there yet. I'm still working on getting my sexy back. But, if you want to check out my back catalog of porn, because, I did a pandemic OnlyFans too. If you want to take a look at a lot of the scenes I've done, whether I've done partnered content with people who've been on this podcast, or you just want to see what I look like when I'm being a cute beefcake all alone, onlyfans.com/callmebilly. One last call. This Saturday, I believe, is my 8-year podiversary, April 16th. You want to do me a real solid. If you could tweet at Dan Savage, at fake Dan Savage, say, hey, why haven't you had at the Billy Procida on the Savage Lovecast yet? I don't want y'all to harass him. I just want y'all to come together and give him some demand so I can give him some supply. That would mean a whole lot to me. And if you're too shy to tweet at Dan, hey, a happy podiversary is always nice to see in the notifications. All right, everybody. Take care of you and yours. Stay safe out there on these streets. Scoot, scoot. Stay slutty.